They say a dog's love is unconditional, but what happens when that love is tested by time itself? This is the story of Max, a golden retriever whose loyalty became the heartbeat of a small town and an inspiration to everyone who knew him. Max belonged to an old man named Henry, a retired schoolteacher who had lived in the town of Willowbrook his entire life. Henry and Max were inseparable. Every morning, they would take a walk to the town square, where Henry would sit on his favorite bench outside the cafe, sipping his coffee while Max lay by his feet, watching the world go by. Henry would chat with passers-by, feed the pigeons, and occasionally share a biscuit with his furry companion. Max had been a gift from Henry's late wife, Margaret, who had passed away years ago. The golden retriever had been just a puppy then, bounding through the house with endless energy. But as the years passed, he had grown into a calm, affectionate companion, always by Henry's side. They had a rhythm to their days, an unspoken understanding built over years of shared moments. One fateful morning, Henry left his house as usual, with Max trotting by his side. But this day was different. As they reached the cafe, Henry suddenly collapsed, clutching his chest. Within minutes, an ambulance arrived, sirens wailing, and rushed him to the hospital. Max, confused and worried, tried to follow, but the doors of the ambulance closed, separating him from his best friend. Max returned to the bench, waiting for Henry to come back. He lay down, ears perked, eyes scanning the street, expecting to see his old friend return at any moment. Hours turned into days, days into weeks, but Henry never came back. He had passed away in the hospital, leaving behind a void that no one could fill, except for Max. The townspeople noticed Max's unwavering presence by the bench. The cafe owner, a kind old woman named Martha, left a bowl of water and food for him. The florist from across the street, a young woman named Emily, started bringing him a blanket on colder nights. People would stop and pet him, whispering soft words of comfort. But Max never left. Every morning, as the sun rose, he would be there, waiting, just as he always had. Seasons changed, yet Max remained. When winter came, the townsfolk built a small wooden shelter near the cafe, keeping him warm. When spring arrived, children played around him, their laughter filling the air. He became a legend, the loyal dog who never stopped waiting. His presence became a part of the town's daily life, a symbol of devotion that people from near and far came to witness. As the years passed, Max formed a unique bond with many of the townspeople. There was old Martha, who would sit with him in the early mornings, sipping her tea and telling him about the good old days. Emily, the florist, would tuck fresh flowers into his little shelter, brightening up his spot. The postman, Samuel, would always stop by and scratch behind his ears, sharing bits of his sandwich before moving along his route. To them, Max was more than just a dog. He was a reminder of love that transcended time. One particularly cold winter, a fierce storm rolled in, blanketing Willowbrook in thick layers of snow. The cafe had to close for several days, and many residents remained indoors. But when the storm subsided, the first thing everyone checked was Max. There he was, curled up in his shelter, shivering yet still waiting. Moved by his resilience, the entire town came together, reinforcing his shelter, bringing in warm bedding and ensuring he had plenty of food. Then came a summer, unlike any other. Tourists who had heard of Max's unwavering loyalty started visiting the town just to see him. News stations picked up the story, and suddenly Willowbrook became known as the town of the loyal dog. Strangers from different parts of the country came by, some leaving treats, others simply sitting by the bench in silence, reflecting on the depth of love Max had for Henry. One day, a young boy named Ethan visited the town with his parents. He had heard about Max from his grandfather, who had grown up in Willowbrook. As Ethan approached the old dog, he sat down beside him and gently stroked his fur. "You're still waiting, aren't you?" he whispered. Max gave a soft wag of his tail as if he understood. That evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Max lay by the bench, resting his head on his paws. His breathing was slow, his body weary. The world around him faded into a gentle blur, and for the first time in years, he saw something, or someone, familiar. Standing in the golden light was Henry, smiling, arms open, with a joyful bark that only Max could hear. He closed his eyes and drifted into a peaceful slumber. The town mourned him as they would a dear friend. They built a statue in his honor, right beside the bench, with a plaque that read, "Max, a love that never faded." Flowers were placed at its base every week, and the story of the dog who never stopped waiting was passed down for generations. Even after Max was gone, his presence never truly faded. People still gathered at his bench, sharing stories of love and loyalty. The tourists kept coming, drawn by the remarkable tale of a golden retriever whose devotion knew no bounds. Parents told their children about Max, and those children grew up carrying his story forward. And so, Max's love never truly died. It lived on in the hearts of those who heard his story, in the warmth of the little town of Willowbrook, and in every person who had ever loved a dog with their whole heart. Sometimes, the greatest love stories are not about people, but about the silent, unwavering devotion of a loyal heart.